dwelling on the negative. Is that what you do? Welcome back to Talking with Jazz with your host, Big Daddy O. We're in the country still. We're exploring tree change. And we're exploring today how I try and summarize life in the country. I thought about it for quite some time. Someone said part of it to me and I kind of synthesized the rest. And so this is kind of the bad things about living in the country, or the things you can't avoid. And if you want to avoid these things, then don't move to the country. I wanted to reduce it down, make it simple. Here's my list. Cars, water, firewood, and bushfires. That's my list. The 4 things you can't avoid if you live in the country, particularly if you live out of the town, shall we say. Because you need a good car. Not a good one, you just need a reliable one. And you'll clock up the kilometres like nothing else. As I often say to my dearly beloved, I never went for one joyride, and still my sports car has 20,000 kilometres on it. Which means the sports car is useful. I think so. It's fun too, in the country. You can get around in it. Do it. You got space for it as well. Why not? Sports cars are useless in the city. I see idiots with sports cars in the city. I think you're an idiot. You're racing between lights. What are you thinking? Sports car in the country. You can go out for cruises on semi-deserted roads. It's fabulous. You don't break the law, of course. I would never do that. You might, but I won't. And I won't be talked into it. Water is the other thing you will always have to deal with, particularly if you live, like I do, off-grid. I do a lot of plumbing. I knew nothing about plumbing. Now I know a hell of a lot about plumbing. Not only that, I know a lot about bores and springs and the plumbing associated with bores and springs. I know a lot more than I ever really wanted to know. In fact, I could probably start plumbing tomorrow, and I don't think I would finish plumbing for another 6 months if I wanted to do every single plumbing job that I thought I could do and had to do it properly. I can do a lot of bodgy ones, with a bit of tape, a lot of stuff stuck together with tape, cable ties, But if I wanted to do it properly, it would really take a long time. But you get better at it. You also learn. It's great to learn. I like to teach too. My neighbour and I, we're learning together. We go out and we fix things together. We have fun. It's a great little camaraderie thing when we do our plumbing. We always have these jokes about being pissweak plumbers and things like that. Because, you need to be kind of hefty, I guess, to be a plumber, because you've got to lift things and dig things and pull stuff. It's hard work, undoing little things. You can't have a limp wrist. Or else they don't tighten the pipes hard enough, and then they drip. You don't want to be a drippy plumber. Be a good plumber. Firewood. Firewood is a never-ending thing. When you start, you think, hey, this is fun. It's a cool day. Let's put the fire on. In fact, I do it every year. I have that same attitude. I'm really excited about it, like the first day of fires when you're starting to burn them, and you go, oh, it's cold enough to have a fire and eat soup, and that's what I do. I do that every Saturday or Sunday, make soup. And it's fun, firewood, and it keeps you fit. It's a strange thing. Firewood, it warms you twice. Once when you have to stack it and cut and collect it and saw it and split it and stack it again and then burn it. And then burning it actually then heats you the second time. So in actual fact, firewood's quite a healthy choice if you want to have a hobby. But, it's also pretty boring if you've been doing it for 15 years. But it's just like a methodical thing. I just say to myself, wood warms you twice. Wood warms you twice. All the time as I'm working on my firewood. Constantly lifting, splitting, stacking, burning. It doesn't matter whether you buy it or whether you scavenge it. During COVID, I scavenged all my wood. I found a big pile and I just kept chipping bits off it. The pile of wood used to belong to Gina Reinhardt. I have a suspicion that she might have not known that I was taking it. Anyway, sorry, Gina. I owe you a fire. Or you can buy it, as I first did, and as I still probably will in the future. You kind of have to, particularly if you live somewhere that's quite humid, because the firewood that sits outside ends up soaking up water. So you think to yourself, oh, really cheap to buy it in the middle of summer. Yeah, it is. It is really cheap, except then your house is, exposed to the potential of a bushfire where your firewood stack will just get burnt like within seconds. And also, after 6 months of in a high humidity area, you'll find that the firewood is actually soaked, as I have found. So I have to buy smaller batches because that will mean I have nice dry wood to burn, because you can't burn wet wood. It's counterintuitive, of course. Because the thing about rural Victoria, it's one of the coldest places on Earth. Now I know you're going to say Antarctica or something, and my cousin lives in Dawson Creek. That's in the middle of nowhere in Canada. It's so far up it gets to 20 below. You can actually hear your breath as you breathe out. It crystallises in the air and hits the ground. On a quiet night, of course. It's so cold. But it's so cold, the water is frozen. Now in Australia, and in rural Victoria in particular, you've got these two major problems. One, it never really stays long below zero. So even if it does get to -7 or something, that's only for a few minutes in the first thing in the morning. As the frost clears, the sun starts to shine and you're back above zero. Therefore, all that moist dew, etc., suddenly turns into water in the air, commonly called humidity. Rural Victoria is really humid. People don't realise that. And when it's cold, and you've got all that humidity, it's a real mess. And trying to heat a house that's full of water is hard work. First, you've got to boil that water off. Just imagine, a standard room can hold about 5 litres of water in the humidity, in the humid air. It's true. I've even done the experiment. I've got a dehumidifier. I can stick it into a room. 5 litres will come out of that room a day, because humid air is constantly going in, and all the things in that room are in fact wet. Strange, eh? You don't get that in the big smoke. It's not as humid. Then that's combined with the fact that most older houses are very badly made, or made in a way that is uninsulated and unsealed. So that's why firewood becomes very important. Because when you have to first boil all the water off out of your house, and then you have to keep that heat in the house through insulation and seals, you'll find that it's hard work. And you'll spend a long time sealing and insulating your house. My recommendation, spend a lot of money on insulation and sealing. It'll really save you in effort and money. The final thing about living in rural Victoria is we're one of the few places on Earth that will always have bushfires, extreme days, days where you can almost feel the fire when it's not there. And you can even have days where there's a fire that is so far away there is no danger of it getting anywhere near you, but black leaves are dropping out of the sky. They've been sucked up into the atmosphere, and they fall down, these charred leaves. Now in the past they have actually set bush on fire. That's how it kind of can leapfrog 20-30 kilometres across the landscape. So that is why you need to be very careful about bushfires, because it's not a joking matter. And although don't joke about it, because it's very serious. You need to be resolute about what you're going to do. And you don't need to be a hero. In fact, I know people who chose to be heroes, and it didn't work out so well for them. Because you can't spray water on a fire. Okay, when it's 400 degrees, the water will just evaporate into steam and be nothing. So there's no point in having a hose, right? You're fighting a 400 degree fire. This is when it's really seriously big fire, country, territory, and your faith. No, you can't fight it. Even the CFA don't fight fires. I didn't know that. They go and put little things out. They can't actually fight a major fire front. In fact, the last two numbers on the scale, there's the last one's called Code Red, or it used to be called Catastrophic, which I thought was quite funny, but they changed it to Code Red because that doesn't sound so stupid. Catastrophic and Code Red and Extreme, and in those two, it literally says in the manual that the CFA, the fire authority, will not be fighting those fires. They will not be attending fires because it's just too dangerous. That's why the only option really is to water bomb, your house. So what do you do? Well, you have a plan. You plan, you leave. You just leave. You don't stick around with a stupid garden hose. I know people who want to, but it's not. That seems like a good idea, but it's not. It's just not. You don't have the ability. You're not a firefighter. If you're a firefighter, you can think about it. But even then, I'll just leave. We leave, and what turns out to be the case, is what I've found out, is that if you go and there's no fire in your area, you can return at about 6 p.m. because by then the humidity has dropped. And we've stuck to this rule. My dearly beloved and my kids and I have stuck by a rule that if it gets to one of the last two classifications of fire rating day or whatever it is, we just leave. And we don't think about it. We just plan ahead and we go stay with relatives, or we go shopping, water gardens, whatever. Go and do something, and then at 6 p.m, if the humidity has dropped, which it always does, you can safely come back in if there are no fires in the area. If there are fires in the area, don't come back. Why don't you have a think about that? Stay safe and have a great day. Thank you for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Did you know I make one of these for almost every day? I know, I sometimes miss a day or two. I've got to have a break sometime, right? And sometimes I get busy doing other things. But anyway, let's ignore that. If you don't want to miss one of these episodes, then you have to subscribe. It's free. It's fun and it's real. You just have to go to YouTube and you press subscribe, and you will be notified, if you like it or not, that another episode has been released. I try and let them go at 6:30 almost every day. So why don't you subscribe now? There's a link below in the description. Then you will have a great day.